Let's start with male reproductive system. As you can see, the diagram is drawn over here. Okay? This is the diagram of male reproductive system, and the parts which I had told you earlier are being mentioned over here: testes, scrotum, vas deferens, urethra and penis, and all the parts are being labeled in this. Now let's start with the testes. The very first thing is testes. You can see the testes is written here. Fine. Human male possesses two testes, which are the primary reproductive organ, lying outside the abdominal cavity. See, lying outside the abdominal cavity. Fine. The two testes are the male gonads, which secretes or which produces, or we can say these are the sites for the production of sperm or male gamete. But for all this to occur, like I had told you about the puberty, a male produces sperm from puberty onwards and throughout his life. So this is all about testes. Now let's study with our second thing, that is scrotum. Scrotum is a pouch of skin. See, this is a pouch of skin in which testes are present. It lies between the legs and it is internally divided into two parts, the left and right scrotal sacs. Now what is the function of this scrotum? This acts as a thermoregulator for the testes to produce sperm, as the production of sperm inside this scrotum requires a temperature which is generally 2 or 3 degrees lower than the normal body temperature. So it acts as a thermoregulator. We can also say, as the temperature increases, the life of sperm decreases. So it is very important function of this to act as a thermoregulator. Now the third thing is vas deferens. This is nothing else but a tube which is arising right from the testes. See, it is being labeled here also and it is being labeled here also, because this is a single tube which is going through. This vas deferens, what is the function of this tube? This vas deferens tube carries the sperm from the testes to the seminal vesicle. See, it is being labeled here, to the seminal vesicle, where the sperm is stored for a short duration of time, or for, you can say, for some duration of time. So this vas deferens, this is a straight long tube which carries the sperm which is produced inside the testes to the seminal vesicle, and this sperm is stored in the seminal vesicle for a short duration of time. Next is your urethra. This is also a tube. See, it is being labeled here. This is also a tube. The function of urethra is dual, you can say, as it carries the urine from the urinary bladder and also the sperm from the seminal vesicle as its join the vas deferens. See, this urethra is approximately a 20 centimeter long tube which carries the urine from the urinary bladder towards the penis, and it is being ejected out from the body. Similarly, it also carries the sperm from the seminal vesicle. At the time of sexual intercourse, the sperm is being carried inside this urethra towards the penis, and then it is being ejected out. Now this penis, last thing. See, it is being labeled here. What is the function of this penis? This is a long, thick, muscular organ present outside the body. See, this is the penis. Fine. The tip of the penis consists, this tip of the penis consists of soft and highly sensitive skin. We can say it as a foreskin, and this part is, you know, loose and retractable. That means it folds. Fine. This serves the purpose of ejecting out the sperm at the time of sexual intercourse inside the vagina, which fuses with the egg for the process of reproduction. This is all about the male reproductive system. Let's have a look of this again. Testes, scrotum, vas deferens, urethra and penis. Let's study it with a flow chart. Starting from the testes, it produces sperm. Fine. Testis lies inside the scrotum. The sperm is carried by the vas deferens tube inside the seminal vesicle. The sperm is stored here for a short duration of time. Then it is being carried by the urethra inside the penis, and then penis moves out the sperm from the body. Fine. Okay, now fine. Let's start with female reproductive system. As we have earlier discussed the parts of male and female reproductive system, and we have studied the male reproductive system in detail, let's start with female reproductive system in detail. The parts are ovary, fallopian tubes, we can say a pair of ovaries, a pair of fallopian tubes, uterus and vagina. Here you can see the diagram, it is drawn over here. It is the detailed structure of the female reproductive system. Now start with the very first thing, ovary. Or before starting with it, I just want to introduce few things over here. Like male reproductive system, female reproductive system is much complex than the male reproductive system. The reason for it, you can say, is it has to receive the sperm, then helps in fertilization, and even you can say post fertilization changes occurring in the body. But the male reproductive system has only one thing to say, that is production of sperm and then ejaculation. Fine. So it is much complex than the male reproductive system. Now the very first thing is ovaries, or we can say a pair of ovaries on both the sides. See, now what is the function of these ovaries, what are they, and what is the importance of these ovaries? Fine. Each human female consists a pair of ovaries on both sides inside the body at lower abdominal cavity. In male reproductive system, it is outside. The testes were lying outside inside the scrotum, but in female, these pair of ovaries lie inside the body at lower abdominal cavity. Now what do they do? ये क्या काम करते हैं? Ovaries serve dual function. दो function का काम करते हैं. What? First of all, egg formation, or you can say female sex hormones की भी production साथ साथ करते हैं. Egg या ova जिसे हम कह सकते हैं, they are produced inside the ovaries, as well as hormones, sex hormones, progesterone and estrogens are being synthesized in this. They basically act as primary sex organs. Now each ovary is composed of ovarian follicles at different stages, because इनके अंदर present ovarian follicles are immatured. They are at the different stages. They all are immature. Each follicle contain a large ovum inside them with many follicle layer around them. You have already heard about Graafian follicles. They are these Graafian follicles. Fine. The production of ova starts with puberty. I earlier discussed that all these changes, all these things occurs after the age of puberty. When male and female both attain the age, then these starts producing the female egg, or we can say ovum. Fine. At every month, a single egg, mature egg, is produced either of the ovaries. दैट मीन्स यू कैन से अगर फर्स्ट मंथ इसने प्रोड्यूस किया है देन सेकेंड मंथ ये प्रोड्यूस करेगा, ऑल्टरनेटली दे डू दिस जॉब. फाइन. तो ओवरी प्रोड्यूस द फीमेल sex hormones as well as the egg or ovum. Fine. Now the second thing, after ovary we have a pair of fallopian tubes. What do they do? See, it is being labeled over here, fallopian tubes, or you can say oviduct. What is the function of this fallopian tube? Now see, I had earlier told you that ovary consists of immature follicles. Fine. Every month a single this over it means you can say egg matures and starts moving inside the fallopian tube. Fine. अब इस fallopian tube का क्या काम है? कुछ नहीं. यहाँ पर एक मैच्योर एग आया एंड इट स्टेज ओवर हेयर, यहीं रुकता है एंड वेट्स फॉर द स्पर्म टू कम फॉर द प्रोसेस ऑफ फर्टिलाइजेशन. सो वी कैन ऑल्सो से दीज फेलोपियन ट्यूब एक्ट्स एज साइट ऑफ फर्टिलाइजेशन बिकॉज स्पर्म फ्यूजेस विद द एग. द प्रोसेस ऑफ फर्टिलाइजेशन अकर एंड zygote is formed over here. Fine. It provides appropriate environment for the process of fertilization, or it acts as the site of fertilization. Now this fallopian tubes has two opening, one over here and one over here. This funnel shaped opening is attached with the ovary and the other opening is opening in uterus where this zygote will be delivered. After fertilization this zygote moves inside the uterus. So this is the work of the fallopian tube, acts as a site of fertilization. Sperm comes and fuses with the egg and the process of fertilization occur. Zygote forms over here. Now the very next thing is uterus. See, this is uterus. Now what is uterus and what does it do? Basically you can say uterus is a large inverted, see this is uterus, it is a large inverted and pear shaped muscular structure that lies behind the urinary bladder. It lies behind the urinary bladder. And what is the function of this uterus? After fertilization, if fertilization occurs, it receives the zygote. The zygote after differentiation or multiplication or cell division forms the embryo, and this embryo is attached to the walls of uterus. This embryo is attached to the walls of this uterus. This embryo further divides, forms fetus and gets nourished from the walls of the uterus as they get thickened, or we can say they have a very rich supply of blood vessels. So this blood vessels provide nourishment to the fetus as well as it removes the waste produced by the fetus. So it serves a very important function as it holds the embryo, or you can say fetus, till birth. At the time of birth, these uterine walls contracts and relax and helps in the delivery of the child. Fine. Now the last thing is vagina. One thing we are leaving over here is we have discussed the process if fertilization occurs, but if fertilization does not occur, then what happens? I'll discuss it later. First of all, complete with the vagina. What do you mean by vagina? This is also a muscular tube like structure. It is about 7 to 10 centimeter long. See, this is vagina. Fine. This is the structure. It is a tube-like structure, muscular tube-like structure, which is 7 to 10 centimeter approximately long. It consists of elastic tissues, and it is well adapted to receive the sperm at the time of intercourse. The sperm released here will move to the fallopian tube where the egg is waiting, and they fuses with each other and the process of fertilization occur. This is the whole female reproductive system. Consists of a pair of ovaries, fallopian tubes, uterus and vagina. Initially, ovaries produce the mature egg which comes to the fallopian tubes. Sperm comes over here, fuses with the egg. Fertilization occurs. The zygote, further embryo and then fetus is attached to the walls of the uterus, which is having a very rich supply of blood vessels which provide nourishment to the fetus and also helps in the removal of the waste. After this is the vagina. This is also known as birth canal. Fine. This is also known as birth canal as it allows the passage of the baby at the time of childbirth. This whole is the female reproductive system. Now one thing which we have left, I told you that this is the thing which we are discussing when fertilization occurs. But if fertilization does not occur, then what happens? When fertilization does not occur, this egg moves to the uterus. The uterus has prepared itself for the process of fertilization. The lining of the uterus is very thick with a rich supply of blood vessel, but fertilization does not occur. Then what happened? The egg along with the linings of the uterus, which are now not useful because इनका काम था fetus को क्या provide करना, nourishment provide करना, but fertilization हुआ ही नहीं. तो the walls along with the egg is being shed off from the body in the form of menstruation, or you can say menstrual cycle or menses. Now what is menstrual cycle? The cycle of events which is taking place in a female reproductive organ. Fine. In the ovaries and uterus, it is controlled by the sex hormones, and in every 28 days, a period of 28 days, that means around a month. हमने भी तो यही कहा था ना कि एक month में एक ही egg release होता है. In a period of around 28 days, it is marked by the bleeding of the blood vessels along with the egg which is being shed off from the body. Fine. So this is the menstrual cycle. This is the other part when fertilization does not occur. This egg along with the lines moves out of the body in the form of bleeding. So this completes the female reproductive system. Now we will move on to our next topic, which is reproductive